Chen, right? But the last pickup, Pugna, I mean, we saw how good it is, and NiP are a little bit pigeonholed, and they have to force Limp to pretty much play this Leshrac. I think the only thing about the Leshrac is that you just have to pick up a BKB earlier than you would if you're against a Pugna, because there's no way in hell that you don't want to fight against the Nether Ward and not have a BKB.
Absolutely, it's just not a questionable question mark at all. That BKB is a must-have item for Limp in this game. So here we go. Game number 1 in this best of 3 between Alliance and Ninjas in Pyjamas, the grand finals of the MLG JoinDOTA Pro League season number 2 here in Austin, Texas at the X Games. We're going to have Ninjas in Pyjamas starting off with a 5-man smoke into Alliance's jungle. Alliance are looking to be able to run a defensive tri-lane, Loda on the Pugna. We've got Ake on his signature Chen. Pycat's going to be playing the mid SF, and then we've got Admiral Bulldog, who should be playing the off-lane Phoenix. But this may all change as they see Ninjas in Pyjamas making that rotation in. Can they catch somebody out? They're going to try and go for a little bit sneakier route here.
They're going all the way around.
Yeah, they're rotating around behind the trees just to be able to catch somebody, but Pycat...
Oh, he's so
just
far away.
One step ahead. The smoke's going to pop, and Ninjas in Pyjamas failing to be able to get that successful gank. They do place a rather aggressive ward, looking to be able to lock out that camp, and are going to look to also take control of the bounty rune at that 0-second mark. Ooh, nice. Early counter ward being placed, which also blocks out this hard camp. Manages to take away the rune ward. A really good start for Ninjas in Pyjamas, who are looking to be able to cripple the Chen jungle.
That was actually a really cool move by them. Like, I never see teams undercut like that. That was actually really interesting, and they're actually racing for this top rune. There's no way that they can fight this against a gyrocopter, and you're going to give up both bounty runes off the bat, one to the mid laner and one to Jonas and Fan, and that's almost level 2 already for Jonas and Fan in this bottom lane, and some lane swapping is happening. I actually think that Alliance thought they were going to aggressive tri-lane and leave Jonas and Fan in the safe lane, and so they switched off trying to dodge. But Loda's going to head here now, and he's going to be way too late for this. If Jonas and Fan does this correctly, he's going to let the range creeps slip through. Right. Is he going to be able to do it?
Unfortunately, sometimes that range creep was just not cooperative with you. But he does have a really good creep equilibrium here. He should be able to get level 2 quite easily, potentially even level 3 before the supports come in to force him back. This is a great position to be in, right? Because you now have Ninjas in Pyjamas who have gone back to a defensive tri-lane, and if they'd gone aggro, the Chen just would have skipped over into the Radiant jungle. But now, because they're running a defensive tri-lane and off-lane Queen of Pain, this means the Chen pretty much has to somehow make this jungle, which has been heavily warded up, work for him.
Yeah, and this is a free farm Queen of Pain as far as I'm concerned right now. Is the Disruptor, he's almost out of mana because he went to go past that mid lane, and Jonas and Fan even screams him, and Mad has to be careful. He is getting quite low, but Loda's going to transition in as he might actually go for this one.
Oh my God, Jonas and Fan making the big plays as he gets the first blood, gives away the kill to Loda afterwards, but well worth it for Jonas and Fan.
That was beautifully done by him. I think Mad was almost certain that he wouldn't go for that, and Loda does respond. I mean, but it's a Pugna. What is he going to do? As a quick first blood picked up by Jonas and Fan, and he got the bounty rune. This is so huge for him right now. He's got such a big infusion of gold. Like, he's got boots and a magic bomb.
Pycat going to be taking a lot of damage with the Maledict. They might actually be able to take him down. Last couple right clicks, and sure enough, there it is. Pycat falls, and Ninjas in Pyjamas taking an early lead in this game 1.
And that early Malediction build that we've seen from Seal Kid, 2 games in a row now, able to get offensive so quickly, and typically we'll see Hanskin be the one to rotate, but Hanskin stays up there, and so Pycat thinks he's safe. He's like, okay, the lion's up there, what is a Witch Doctor going to do to me? But it's a level 2 Witch Doctor. He comes in, a free kill for them, and good setup as NiP cruise so far to a 2-1 lead. They got both bounty runes, and so that's a significant bump up for them in net worth, and we already see them take a 1k net worth lead. And it just gets better as Lim finds the best possible room for a Leshrac early game.
Yeah. If he can get that level 4, level 5 maxed out Lightning Storm and just spam it against an SF. And the big thing is, there's not much of a recovery mechanism for this SF. If he's going to try and recover after a bad laning phase, it's going to be through farming up this hard camp. But this just limits the Chen's options even further, who's already had to deal with so many wards in his jungle that he doesn't actually have the capability to farm as proficiently as he wants to. Now, Jonas is going to try and take some of the neutrals that Ake is fighting so hard to be able to get, and is also going to be looking to control the rune. Admiral Bulldog was going to point him out earlier. Despite the fact that we didn't have a kill in that top lane, they were very successfully shutting him out. They are now going to rotate him into the middle lane to try and see if he can't get some experience while the SF farms up his stack. But this is a very early time to farm up a stack. SFs don't usually go for this until at least level 5, usually level 7.
And this is the move by Pycat. It's like, there's not a whole lot for me to do. I'm being zoned out of the lane. There's a regen on the left track. Why even bother showing up? And it's kind of the correct move. At the same time, though, Admiral Bulldog isn't going to find any success in this mid lane. This kind of just feels like a Pycat's move where he doesn't really have much to do. He doesn't have a bottle still at almost 4 minutes into the game as he's being completely zoned out. The left track completely rotates out, assuming there's a gank coming, and there was, and I mean, NiP right now are just completely reading what Alliance are doing.
Yep, Jonas actually popped the smoke there of the Disruptor and is now going to be able to get the 4-mana rune. Invisibility for him. So Jonas is not, he could have actually played this like a lot more set in his ways, getting the experience in his laning phase, but instead, he's trying to be as disruptive as possible. He's following these supports around. He already wrecked one smoke. He's been trying to take some of the neutral experience as well.
Pycat. This could be dangerous. He doesn't have Dagger, but Pycat is moving in for this neutral creep camp. Did he spot him and... Wait, what? He actually didn't see him go for that. And Pycat's not even going to go for the jungle. He just kind of dipped in there. Not much is happening right now. The Vit booster is flying in for Loda. I don't think Jonas can go for this.
Yeah, it's just too tanky. He would have to get 2 or 3 more right clicks. Too difficult for a Queen of Pain. It kind of feels like our Queen of Pain is actually now, I mean, I like what he was doing early on, but at a certain point, there was a lot of experience to be had at that bottom lane when the supports were out. And Jonas is just instead trying to roam around the map so heavily that he's going to fall behind it quite quickly. When it comes to experience, you can already see the Queen of Pain has caught up to him. Now, Jonas just shows himself in this top lane right away. Are they trying to make a lane swap here? Or no, he just grabs the TP, now he's going to go to the tier 2 tower. So you can see Alliance are already trying to push in with the Chen, Creeps leading the way, and then they also have the Pugna with the Blast. This tier 1 tower is not long for this world.
I think he's just trying not to die right now. And Seal Kid is rotated in as well. That's a level 4 Witch Doctor. He actually stacked a lot of camps for Limp and then just switched off. And Pycat, I mean, he's getting some measure of farm now. He does have his bottle. He's almost got boots. But Limp is still doing so well in this mid lane right now. And he continues to go for denies. Just trying to make life as difficult as possible for Pycat, who does have a small stack to fall upon. The bottle is flying out to him, but Bulldog right now is my major concern. Is still only level 3 with not a whole lot of gold. And yeah, Phoenix, you kind of expect this, but at the same time, it's one of the heroes that I feel does really well in the off lane in terms of contesting, and he hasn't really been able to get much. And you do expect the Pugna to be able to push that bottom tower, but it does give Jonas a lot of farm, right? Because he's so safe now. Like, there's very little that's going to be able to kill him.
And with the Witch Doctor pickup, it's unlikely for them to be able to push into a tier 2 tower at this point. Like, the tier 1 at the off lane is a pretty quick and easy kill, but pushing into the tier 2 is an entirely different story, as the Witch Doctor cask is actually very efficient at dealing with those Chen creeps. So, Hanskin in the top lane is still trying to keep Admiral Bulldog locked in as much as possible. With his double disables, he is actually quite the potent force against a Phoenix, being able to lock him down for so long that the Gyrocopter is able to get his full rocket barrage damage out, and we all know how much that can do in the early game.
Yeah, they know that Bulldog's in there, but I don't really think they can pressure him. Hanskin has placed a ward here really early, and I like that, because before he placed it over here in the previous game, and I know if I'm tracking that, pro players are tracking that, right? Like, Alliance are probably thinking to themselves, okay, the ward is now here, let's just deward that, but in case they do, it's actually all the way up there, and Hanskin knows that the Phoenix has to be in that corner, and he can't really contest because he always has the dive readily available, and Limp just continues to farm out this mid lane, doing a good job of that right now. Is he has the arcane boots, and Loda's actually your top net worth with the tower last hit.
Yeah, I have to say, this Queen of Pain, I was a little bit questionable about it, just because it's a Queen of Pain versus a Disruptor in lane, but it's really that level 1 Blink being changed to now having 1300 range that allows him to stay ahead of the Disruptor Glimpse constantly. Mad just keeps on trying to go for it, but unfortunately with only a level 2 Glimpse, there's no way he can catch that Queen of Pain. She's pretty much always out of range. Maybe when you hit level 5 and have the level 3 Glimpse available, that can be a change up of story, but for now, the Queen of Pain is just always able to stay one step ahead.
Yeah, and an early blink from Jonas and Fan. He's going to get the hell out of there because he knows the Chen is there. The Chen had the troll creep as well. I think what they were trying to do is that Mad would just lead in, immediately get the glimpse off, and then they would combo, but unable to do so. And Jonas bottles the rune as well, and it's a haste rune, and this is going to make things a little bit tricky as I think NiP sort of understand what's going on, as Limp is the one that rotated down, and Matt has to be careful here, as everybody is rotating down. The Witch Doctor is in the area as well, but they do want to go for this tower because if you have a Pugna, like, you can't just send him to the mid lane and hope that Pycat can just jungle for the rest of his life. Like, he has to get aggressive at some point.
You could see the power of this Nether Ward up against a Leshrac. Now, fortunately, this is just a tier 2 tower, so it's not that much of a jog back to the fountain. But casting 3 different spells has actually just burned through so much of his HP and mana that he is now going to be forced back to the fountain. It's the exact reason why we talked about how the Pugna is so strong against the Leshrac, and this also means that there's going to be a lot less spam that certain heroes are going to be able to throw out. Middle lane, Admiral Bulldog is going to be hexed up, trying to go for Hanskin, but Hanskin protects himself with both the Hex as well as the Earth Spike. Loda going to be forced back by Seal Kid, who unfortunately could not get in range of the cask. Jonas Upon was coming in with that haste rune, but without a disable, they're not able to catch him.
Yeah, and they rotate Matt up here. He's pretty safe because Hanskin has shown himself on the map. Era's opting to skip drums. Any sort of stat item, no one for him. Oh no, there he goes. Does pick up the magic stick, and he's got an Ogre Club. I'd presume this is an early BKB. I kind of would like to see the S and Y first, though. Like, I'd like a more fighting build,
yeah,
where he's a little bit greedier, because he does. Oh shoot.
I can get behind that just because of the fact that I feel if you're going to go a BKB, it's better to go drums first as just like some sort of small stat item and give you like some more relevance when it comes to damage in these fights. Like the added mobility, the added stats, like everything is more favorable when you have the drums and then BKB. I feel like going straight BKB in any regard is probably a bad idea for a Gyrocopter. Just really goes all in for a 15-minute mark team fight, and if that doesn't go well, then you're kind of SOL.
Yeah, and so Pycat finishing up a wand and his power treads, he's still a little bit far behind where he wants to be. Like, this is around the timing that some SFs will have an Ogre Club, you know, but he's had to go for the Aquila and the wand because he is a little bit pressured in this mid lane, and this is also a result of Admiral Bulldog having such a hard time at top that Pycat had to essentially just go to the jungle while Bulldog continues to farm out that mid lane, but even then he's not very successful. He's only level 6 with 1200 gold backing him.
Hanskin, as well as Era, now going to be able to push down this tier 1 tower, so evening the tower advantage up. That Alliance claimed earlier with their Pugna Chen push. But you can see they are continuing to keep the pressure here at this bottom lane, with Loda constantly throwing out Nether Wards, making it very hard for these intelligence cores to be able to push the lane back without being punished too heavily. The Leshrac comes in, the Queen of Pain, either one of those heroes are being continually zapped by that Nether Ward. Now middle lane, Matt is far enough away to be able to avoid the secondary cask bounce. And also, well, Jonas actually gets sent back, unfortunately.
Yeah, and he's going to head down to this bottom lane, but unfortunately for them, Alliance are pushing in really hard, and since the opening salvo, it's only been 2-1. No kills have happened, I think, for like the last, 9 minutes. As the game just kind of stalls out, but I don't really know who this favors, because NiP have they have like a really strong mid-game dual core. They actually have a tri-core, because Jonas is playing the Queen of Pain. Okay, yeah, it definitely goes for them. Because the Phoenix is a hero that relies on having a better start than this, and the Pugna is a core that, especially if you go for, I guess he's gone for the Atos, so he's in some fighting shape, but I think it's not ideal for the late game. Like, you've got a Shadow Queen, but even then, SF isn't a true carry, right?
Yeah, if you want to be an effective Pugna going past like 35-45 minutes, you better have a ton of farm, otherwise you're just going to be a non-factor for the most part. Hanskin is going to be spotted out here. Oh, maybe not the smoke, and he's actually maybe going to get away. Mad sees him in the last half second and unable to get the glimpse off. Thunderstrike goes down instead, and Hanskin gets away scot-free.
That had to have been a mistake, because I think he should have just gone for the glimpse to move him, but unable to do so, and Hanskin gets away there scot-free as the score holds, and NiP, I mean, they've got the greedier cores. Like, they've got a Leshrac, a Queen of Pain, in addition to the Gyrocopter. And late game support-wise, I think the Lion and the Witch Doctor are going to be a lot better than the Disruptor and the Chen, and so I think the burden is on Alliance to get somewhat aggressive, and you're seeing that here is they are making a move right now for the mid lane.
Cass stalling up those Chen creeps. Okay, make sure to bring him back behind the Danger Zone. But they do have this tier 1 tower that's going to be going down either way. Loda, I think this is good for Ninjas of Pyjamas, just like we saw Fnatic do earlier, giving up towers or giving up certain objectives like Roshan in exchange for making sure that they can farm a bit longer and not go into a potentially early fight that wrecks them even further. The tier 1 tower at bottom lane is going to go down to the double damage, the Queen of Pain, and that top tier 2 tower is going to be dropping soon as well. So I would say Ninjas of Pyjamas, even though they're going to get the unfavorable trade economically speaking, when it comes to, okay, they've lost more towers than Alliance have, at the same time they do have the better late game and they're willing to just make these kind of unfavorable trade-offs just to be able to shoot the game out that much further.
The thing is, NiP's cores aren't great at pushing towers. Like, Queen of Pain isn't a natural tower pusher, but she's still able to take a tier 1 by herself. The Gyrocopter, yeah, he can clear the creep wave pretty quickly, but tower sieging isn't his thing, but they still manage to pick up 2 towers at the same time, and so a pretty even trade for NiP, I feel.
Yeah, the tier 2 tower is going to be denied by Loda, it looks like, so unfortunately not the same amount of bounty going to be heading the way of Alliance, or rather Ninjas in Pyjamas, as they wanted. We do have Admiral Bulldog, who thankfully had a kind of rough laning phase, but will now be able to make the recovery because the large amount of gold that is flowing in for the Alliance side, they're able to get themselves a Midas on Phoenix, which will now skyrocket his levels even further. So that level 7 by 14 minutes is not going to stay for long. He should be able to catch up to the rest of the Ninjas in Pyjamas crew. At least in experience. We'll see how his gold fares is. I'm sure we're going to have some fights soon. Ninjas in Pyjamas are trying to avoid them for the most part, but it's going to come to a point where they can no longer feed away towers to Alliance in exchange for farm.
Yeah, and then this bottom lane, Han's going to set up, but I think Pycat correctly senses that something is afoot. Both of these supports with the level 3 Maledict and the Death Ward should be able to bring him down, and they are headed for this top tower as Loda starts the siege.
You are correct, by the way. Era is going to be going for the BKB early on. He just needs another 100 gold. And, well, he may wish that he had that BKB a little bit sooner. They've got both the Pugna as well as the Disruptor here in this top lane. But unfortunately, they don't see an opportunity to go for him. In fact, Era is even just going to TP out away from that tower, feeling like it's too much of a trap. He doesn't want to be having supports rotate around behind the tower and catch him out. So he just runs himself away and lets the rest of his team push out the bottom lane as much as possible, as well as Limp, who pushes away middle.
Yeah, and NiP, they should be winning the experience war because every single time that Alliance go for something, they're doing it as 3 or 4, whereas all of NiP's players are just kind of split up farming around the map. It looks like they want to at least defend the tier 2 if that push is coming in. Loda is being sent back right now. Am I correct about the... Yes, I am.
So they are going to be able to have Era farm up. It seems like they were really scared over the last 2 or 3 minutes because Alliance were largely off map. They were showing what hero the top lane with several behind him. They were afraid of pushing out the bottom lane. Limp didn't even attempt to push out middle lane just because he was so dangerous with these heroes off map. And Ninjas of Pyjamas are now going to go for a smoke ink here. It's going to be popped. Bulldog is going to be making the jump away. And on the side, they do have that nice silence out. Kanon's going to no! He couldn't get it in time. The silence just sticks too long. And they do manage to get the jump away. So as we come to a conclusion of that team fight, let's go ahead and hear the thoughts of Alliance here in the Turtle Beach team chat. So, Blitz, I think we got some pretty valuable information about that. We are going to be seeing Alliance, sure enough, they were talking about doing Roshan. This is one of those times where they feel pretty invincible in this 5-man position, but there's not too many objectives left for them to take. Pretty much the only outer tower that's left is the tier 2 at the top lane, so instead, they're now going to go for Roshan. This does come as a significant trade-off, though, as Era is able to aggressively push into the top lane. It seems like Ninjas in Pyjamas know exactly what's going on, as Era wouldn't feel this ballsy ballsy to push into a tier 3 tower without having some idea that Lions are not going to try and contest it.
Oh, for sure. And the main thing the reason why they're able to do this is because they understand, NiP understands that they have a tri-core that's meant to be really greedy, and this top tower is actually being assailed so hard right now, and it just made sense for Alliance to go for that Roshan, because they weren't in any position to push out that top tower, and that's the only objective left, right, that tier 2, so they do have a Chen and a Shadow Fiend. That's one of the classic combos if you do want to go for the Roshan attempt, and I think NiP right now, I saw Era ping out top like crazy, and I think that was look what's happening, guys. Like, if I know NiP, Era's gonna like, look how much damage I'm doing to this top lane. What are they doing? But it looks like Alliance, this is their death push at 18 minutes into the game, but they're losing so much as a result of this. They even have to pop the glyph. I don't think they can keep going for this.
Oh, look at this TP back. Oh, Matt got him! BKB activated, but it's too late. Era is now inside the base. He's gonna go for the tier 3 tower. He realizes he has been caught. He's gonna die here. He just wants to be able to claim the tower bounty as quick as possible. Unfortunately, that's not even possible. And lives with 30 HP as Alliance quickly swarm to stop him. At the bottom lane, though, Jonas is doing something similar as Era pushed down that tier 3 tower. Jonas almost claims the tier 2 at the bottom lane.
I actually think he could have just ran away. Maybe he was a little bit worried about that, but the Disruptor did use this glimpse. I guess the Chen army was behind him.
Yeah, he would have at least been netted, which would have stalled him up potentially enough for them to just keep in pace.
No, Air
to
made
get
the right move.
glimpse.
Air made the right move there.
Yeah.
He, at that point, once he got caught out by the glimpse, he had to go for the fight. At bare minimum, he wanted to go for the tower, but still, you almost take a tier 3 tower. You don't lose really anything on top of that because Era had his BKB completed. The most important thing about that was probably the fact that he lost that 10-second BKB charge, and Jonas Fan is quickly trying to farm his. He actually has the fully completed Ags if he wants it at 19 minutes as the offlane Queen of Pain, so he's doing quite well for himself. He's got almost 2k net worth more than Admiral Bulldog, and what he's doing right now is he's not even going to stay for this tower push. He's just trying to clear the creep wave as fast as possible so that his creeps can take it. Yeah, he should actually just get out after this wave.
Oh, man, almost dropping there to live. The chain heal does come out. Figure death. Oh, still not enough. 40 HP. Disruptor, lucky to be alive, is going to be sent back to base here as Jonas completed that tier 2 tower in the bottom lane, but it's Alliance still scrambling to be able to get a real hold on this game by pushing into the tier 3 tower. This is what happens when you pick up those Pugna push drafts. It's not your typical early game. You're going to see usually Pugna is looking to try and push as many towers, usually as a 4 or 5 man, and they'll get a lot of gold out of it, but usually the enemy team will avoid these early fights and just try and get as much as humanly possible until that final push uphill, which determines everything. Now, Alliance are not feeling comfortable enough to be able to complete their push uphill just yet. They did a decent amount of damage to that tier 3 tower. It looks like they want the tier 2 at top first before they try and complete a uphill push.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at Bulldog's effigy. We should focus on the game. You can look at it after.
I will exactly do that because Jonas is actually coming in with the Invis Fruit, and this could be big. He's going to go on to Loda already. The Sonic Wave is available. The ward goes out. He will be able to do a significant amount of damage back to NiP, but they still get caught. BKB activated by Era is going to turn. He's trying to actually just get away from him out into the trees and TP away, but the vision comes through from Admiral Bulldog with the laser, and Pycat gets the right clicks to seal the deal.
Yeah, and that's so much damage. Like, they have to be worried about that. Trading the Pugna is perfectly okay because you take a BKB charge off of the gyrocopter and you force his death. And in this mid lane, Jonas Fan just continues to play that Admiral Bulldog role, I want to say, where he just avoids fights at all costs, comes in when his team absolutely needs him, and just pushes out all the lanes for as long as he can because he's just trying to buy space for his team right now. And now is the time to look at it as his effigy says, win a TI quali before you talk.
Oh my god.
It's that RTZ joke.
As a famous meme once long ago, Loda shutting down RTZ with win a TI before you talk. Admiral Bulldog reliving those words through his immortal effigy.
He's poking fun at himself. I like that.
Yeah.
Alright, so NiP, they're really comfortable with the pace, like the pace of this game right now. Like, they're really happy about it because, again, I can't say this enough. You've got Tri-Core, you've got supports that can scale into the late game. All you have to do is hold that one death push. For example, if NiP are able to repel Alliance like 4-1 or something in a fight, then they instantly win. But Alliance, I mean, if they're able to do the opposite, then they're going to take double sets of racks. Like, that's the power of their lineup right now. They push so quickly. They've got 4 Chen creeps. They've got the Pugna backing them up as well. They've got one of the fastest creep players in the game in the Shadow Fiend, and so whatever happens in this next fight is going to pretty much determine the landscape of the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, if Ninja the Pyjamas manage to survive or maybe even win the team fight, look how much they're going to be able to get. They've got almost a BKB complete for Jonas. They've almost got a BKB for Limp as well. And this is after their first set of items. Aghanims on the cloth, Bloodstone on the Leshrac. If they have the BKB and that extra item as well, they don't care about Alliance's damage anymore. Like, all of that is pretty much all magical except for Pycat's right clicks now. Limpet's going to be caught here. He's going to be caught inside the static storm. They're going to try and burst him down. Pycat pops the ultimate, and they are successful. But there was a lot blown for that one. 3 different ultimates in order to catch the Leshrac, who had 8 Bloodstone charges and will be back in just 15 seconds. There goes the ultimate from the Gyrocopter, able to catch Admiral Bulldog, trying to complete him before he makes the dive away, but this head heal keeps him alive. Ake goes down in return. So 1-for-1 trade-off, and Limp actually bought back for that one. He only needed another 10 seconds or so to be able to be alive, but he still decided to buy back.
I think that was a mistake. I think you should just wait for the fight to come to you. I think they thought they could get more out of that. For example, if they get 3 kills there, then it's absolutely worth it. But it was like 8 seconds away from him being able to respawn. I think the thought was that, okay, if we hit this massive cooldown, or this massive cooldown, we can at least catch 2 heroes, and it'll be worth the buyback. Screw the timer, it'll be okay, but they don't really gain anything from that. Is they go for the 4-man smoking, and they're a little bit desperate with this because Limp has to get back what he just lost.
Yeah, he didn't even get a Bloodstone charge. That 1 kill on the Chen, I don't think he was in range.
He might be able to get Pycat, though. He's used his Blink Dagger. He doesn't have the BKB charge up as well, and he's going to get initiated on Huskin there with the Hex, the finger.
That's beautiful pick off. Ninjas the Pyjamas quick to make the retreat here as massive TPs get laid out. Jonas actually kind of trapped. Oh, Matt looking for that glimpse. But he couldn't get a single pick off there. Matt is still trying to catch up to the Queen of Pain, but Jonas is already far enough ahead. Another blink will ensure that he does stay ahead. So Alliance lose their SF. This is going to be like another full minute, essentially, of farming time for Ninjas the Pyjamas, potentially more, depending on how well they split push.
Yeah, you're just trying to buy as much time as you can for all the BKBs and core items to come out on your heroes. Jonas has been playing this game so beautifully. Like, he hasn't been picked off once. He continues to pressure out all the lanes, and it just makes it difficult for Alliance to commit for anything. Because if Alliance hard commits for it, if they lose a tower and they don't win the fight, then the game just becomes so hard for them.
Yeah, this is the power of the Aghanim Scepter, by the way. You could see Jonas just shows himself up in that top lane to push down the creep wave as Loda was trying to push it back, just basically stalling up this counter push from Alliance as much as possible, and now is going to have something similar again for the bottom lane, as he is quick to blink down there. We'll see whether or not he does get caught, though. Mad has a Glimmer Cape and might just have the element surprise to be able to catch this Queen of Pain.
I don't know if he has the damage, though, to kill the Queen of Pain, is kind of my thought.
Yeah.
He does show himself at bottom. I think that Jonas can reasonably assume that he is down here alone, as he's playing this so defensively, and I think Jonas might go for this if he shows himself any bit further. But I mean, Mad, I don't know why he's hiding. Like, he's shown that he's down there, and he's gonna go for the farm and just kind of back in and out because he's not sure what Jonas is. And I think Jonas is just waiting for him to step a little bit closer so he can get his full combo off before the Glimmer Cape.
Now there is... Oh, Jonas is actually just getting a little bit better position here. In another 2 seconds, he may make this jump. Jonas thinking about it here. He could potentially throw out the Sonic Blade. He's going to throw the Jump. That's what he does. Gets off the last right click with the Glimmer Cape. Oh, Jonas, if only he could have gotten off the Shadow Strike or potentially 2 right clicks, he would have killed him. But as it is, he still drew a lot of attention down to that bottom lane where Alliance now have to look towards top as the continual split push of Ninjas the Pyjamas from Limp as well as the Gyrocopter at times continues to keep this top lane push where that tier 3 tower has just no HP left at all.
For me, I was always confused, or I was always worried about NiP if they had different playstyles, because it kind of felt like they had a style where it's like, okay, we'll get early control, and then we'll just take tower after tower and snowball to a victory, and that's how they typically won their games. But in this game, I'm a lot more encouraged because it seems like they're a lot more comfortable playing this split push, farm out the map kind of style, and it's really important Because Alliance, I mean, they showed their hands early. Like, they picked up the Chen, they've got a Phoenix and a Shadow Fiend and a Pugna. Like, they're gonna push early on. And I think Alliance thought, okay, NiP will probably just kind of fight us as well, but we've got the much better teamfight team. But NiP, I think they realized the weakness of Alliance's lineup is they don't have the best way to catch out these mobile heroes with BKBs, and so NiP are just like, well, we can just continue to keep this game going as we've got the better late game.
Era feels pretty confident here because he has the BKB. Alliance have nothing to stop him. If he ever, like, he can consistently push out really aggressively against Alliance, and there's nothing to stop him unless they have a troll creep, and that's it. There are no other disables to be able to go through that BKB on Alliance yet.
The thing I'm worried about, though, if I'm NiP, is you are using a lot of BKB charges simply for defensive purposes. Like, the Gyrocopter's only got a 6-second BKB left over, right. And I think he's only used it for a fight once. Jonas and Fan luckily hasn't picked up his yet, and I think Limp, if I read that correctly, just finished his. So that's going to be pretty crucial for them, as Admiral Bulldog has to TP in this top lane, and Alliance are taking a little bit of time to Roshan, but NiP aren't really in position to punish them, as Hanskin, he's headed up to this top lane. I think the goal maybe is for them to be able to find somebody who's caught out alone.
Looks like Roshan will be picked off. SF gets the Aegis and is going to be trying to complete the SNY here, but at the same time that tier 3 tower did go down to just a creep push. So that's a little bit of extra gold going the way of Ninjas the Pyjamas, even if they do give up Aegis in return. Ninjas the Pyjamas are going to continue to try and keep the pressure at this top lane. As you can see the smoke ink, they're expecting somebody from Alliance to be able to defend, and it's very natural with the tier 3 tower gone. They can't afford to let these creeps just beat on the Raxes, but unfortunately, Alliance are actually willing to do just that, it seems. This is going to be pretty much the fight that decides the whole entire game. Alliance going all in for this middle lane push.
I don't even know if it's all in. Like, they still have decent... Like, they have maybe 1 or 2 more pushes in them, because it is only 30 minutes into the game, but it is going to be pretty crucial here that they at least take down the tower. Like, that's... You have to get something out of this to make the game continue to go on. Like, they still have a Shadow Fiend who is overfarmed. Loda's built pretty much for the late game. Like, he didn't go for mech or anything like that, so I think they have 1 more in them, but they definitely have to at least take down the tower, and a little bit more if they can help it.
Slowly but surely, this tier 3 tower is being chipped away by Alliance. They do have both a bottom and top lane push coming in, something to worry about, but for the time being, they seem happy to continue to try and force this one. Emerald Bulldog sitting on as Shivas has his level 2 Supernova ready to go. We have Pycat with a Blink Dagger, SNY, as well as a BKB and an Aegis. Loda with the critical Rod of Atos that we saw very early on, plus the Octarine Core. Now, you can see their sieging power. Pycat is able to sit on the front lines here.
Jonas, though, from behind just completely clears their creep wave. And this buys them even more time, and the tower is under backdoor protection, and Jonas makes such a smart play here. He goes from behind them, cuts off their legs, and they aren't able to do anything else. As they have to wait just like another minute for the creep wave to continue to push in, and Alliance just have to back as a result.
Yeah, I mean, with the Jonas quickly going from cutting out that creep wave in middle and then going straight to top lane, somebody's got to play defense at that point in time. Ninjas the Pyjamas are now going to be able to feel comfortable enough pushing out, and this could mean the straight MKB for the Gyrocopter in a short period of time. We also have Limp, who's completed his BKB and can start working towards something like an Octarine Core, perhaps.
Yeah, and NiP have done this so well. Jonas and Fun, I mean, the game isn't over yet, but he's been playing this so well, just continuing to create pressure around the map and forcing Alliance into awkward positions. And that's the thing, is that Jonas is single-handedly making Alliance react to his play. Yep. And this is exactly what they want, because they just want to continue the game. And Alliance, I mean, they're getting into the uncomfortable position where your Chen is only 11, your Disruptor is only level 11 as well, and you should steadily be falling behind in experiences. It's a 5k lead for experience. They do still have a small net worth lead, but a lot of that does come from the heels of taking 2 Roshans in a row.
Yep, they go for the bottom lane push as well as top before they now have to defend their tier 3 tower. Call down being laid out. Pycat blinks away just ahead of that blast. Now comes back in. The glyph gets thrown out here. A lot of damage being thrown the way of Loda. He got to be careful with his positioning, but still, look at that nether ward dishing out so much damage between the laser as well as Loda, constantly spamming out the life drain. They could potentially have Pyjamas just sitting on the front here. Static Storm is going to be able to catch out Limp, who may be forced into the BKB. They're trying to heal him up as much as possible through the Voodoo Restoration, and there it is. The BKB is forced, and now Alliance, well, nice BKB from Pyjamas to be able to defend against that Earth Spike. BKB for BKB. Pyjamas just throws out the ultimate, and it still catches most of the heroes on the side. JoinDOTA now making the entrance in, trying to force Bulldog into a supernova, but no such luck. Now the glimpse back, and it's going to force JoinDOTA into a BKB. They start aggressively pushing forward to kill that damn nether ward. It's been a critical factor for Alliance in being able to punish Ninjas of Pyjamas every single time they spam out spells to defend. And there it is. BKB's blown on both sides, but a tier 3 tower is all that's taken for Alliance.
Yeah, and they even got the deny off of it, and Jonas again cut the creep wave and just made things pretty much all in for Alliance. Like, they had to decide at that point, and they tried going for it, but unable to get anything more than the tower. And NiP are completely satisfied with this trade. Is you give up a tower, but it was a deny, and you just create more and more space. And Era actually opts to go for the Yasha, a little bit more damage, and it allows him to go for the buyback if he wants as well. So I think this was a pretty smart decision by him. And you can also go for something like, imagine if the team fight goes disastrously, instead of going for an MKB, you could just go for the all-in rapier. Like,
sure.
This kind of gives you just options.
Gem now being picked up by our line. Looks like they want to be able to get some map control here and take away the vision of Alliance as best as possible. Jonas, let's see, 2k gold on him. We've got a Lesharek, 2k gold as well, and Gyrocopter, same thing. So pretty much everyone hovering on that. Just barely enough gold to be able to have buyback, but not actually buy a real item. Meanwhile, Alliance, have they picked up any new items? A BKB for Loda. Still no Aghanim Scepter for him. He seems pretty content with still having a cooldown on his ultimate. I can understand that, potentially with the mass amount of tankiness that he has between Radavatos, Octarine Core, and a BKB, he can definitely be a strong frontliner.
I really like the way that Loda has built this entire game. Like, going for the Radavatos first to try to catch out whoever you can. It works really well in conjunction with the Disruptor Glimpse. The Octarine Core allows him to just constantly use that blast. And that BKB, I think it's a lot more crucial that he gets this BKB than him having the Aghanim Scepter. And this time, Jonas forced the TP early. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to cut the creep wave in the middle lane, and the top lane is pushing out for them, but it shouldn't mean that Alliance lose racks. Like, they have enough creeps to defend this out.
And if they just had something to be able to deal with that that nether ward, Ninjas of Pyjamas would be in a much better position to be able to defend, but every single time they're spamming out these lightnings, they're throwing out Rock Barrage. Loda is actually going to take a good amount of damage. Actually on top of it, there it is! The pure damage to the Sonic Wave finishes him off. Supernova in the background, but that's not going to save Ake. Pycat mans up and defends. Era going to be taking a huge amount of damage. He was caught inside the kinetic field. Now Admiral Bulldog with the re-entry here. Shivas, they locked out Pycat with the Hex, trying to burst him down. Finger, that gets laid out, but the Glimmer capable of stay alive. They're going to try and finish off Admiral Bulldog instead, and they will get him ahead of the TP. Jonas
Pycat just goes away.
Pycat taking out these heroes left and right. Will be able to get away with just a sliver of HP. NiP back themselves up. They successfully defend, but it costs quite a pretty penny.
Alright, Pycat just played out of his mind right there. Like, he hit 4 raises in a row, catches Seal Kit at the end of that, stands his ground and decides to fight at 300 HP, mops up NiP, and he makes that fight actually somewhat of an even trade as a result. Really good play by him, but Alliance, I mean, I'm a little bit concerned for them as their lineup is going to start to lose steam a little bit, as you saw how quickly Loda went down there.
Yeah, Loda just got popped so quickly with that initiating disable, and the follow-up, even once he did get off the BKB, it didn't matter. The Sonic Wave's pure damage was able to finish him off, and that was essentially BKB charge lost for nothing. 36 minutes in. It's 7-8 right now. And game number 1 in this best of 3 between Alliance and Ninjas of Pyjamas. As you can see, it is one hell of a close game. We've got a 1,500 gold lead for Alliance, about a 6,000 experience lead for NiP. All things considered, the game quite tight, but NiP are beginning to pull a slight lead. If they can manage to just draw out this game another 10 minutes, they'll be sitting in a very comfortable position with some big upgrades to their cores. You've got the, again, the MKB potentially being bought by Era. The later game upgrades for the supports not going to be coming in anytime soon, but at least the cores such as on Lesharek could actually get a Shivas. Is there any potential for a Lotus Orb here instead of Shivas?
would be okay, but I don't know what you're gonna get rid of, right?
Yeah.
I don't actually think that it matters. Like, going for the Shiva's guard is probably the better play. Like, you need something against the physical damage of Pycat, who is actually doing a really good job of scaling.
There's not too many single target spells being thrown around by Alliance. There's the Life Drain, there's a couple of spells such as Glimpse, and you've got Penitence out from the Chimp. They don't mean much. It's a lot of AoE control, particularly when it comes to the Phoenix with the spam out of Fire Spirits.
Oh, NiP. Yeah, they might actually just be able to flank Alliance if they don't have vision of this.
Hanskin going to be leading with the Hex. They're going to try and keep him alive through the Glimmer Cape, but they do see Lona. They're going to try and burst bound the magic damage, but never mind. A beautiful Supernova now. Pycat let loose the ultimate as NiP on the quick retreat. Unable to get the initiation they wanted. Lip sent back to from whence he came. Alliance quickly mop up the 2 cores of NiP and go straight for the throat now with a 5-man push down mid.
And Jonas Fan instantly recognizes the scenario. He's like, okay, we're not going to be able to fight this right now. I have to go for the split push and just buy time. He's going to TP back. That signifies that NiP are ready to buy back for this fight. They know that the egg is on cooldown as well as the BKB, but they can't really afford to lose more than 1 set of racks here. Alliance are getting really aggressive, and here's the double buyback.
Double buybacks, Hex on to Lona. They're going to try and control him as best as possible. Arrow coming in, doesn't quite have that cooldown, but the physical damage is still enough. Alliance getting chased away. Looks like both Mad and Ake figure it down to 1, and the right clicks to the other. They eliminate 3, but they don't get the important core of Pycat. Once again, he survives through another team fight.
And Pycat's positioning in all of these fights has been so sublime, and Alliance, they do lose 3 heroes, but they do force 2 buybacks, and so NiP going for the natural target here in this Roshan. They need both the Cheese and the Aegis. I imagine the Cheese goes on to Era, the Aegis, or no, the other way around. Limp gets the Cheese, Era gets the Aegis.
Right.
But they are having some difficulties as Hanskin almost goes down. He has to be a little bit careful here as they don't really have any negative armor, but they should be able to take this down. And no way that Alliance is going to be able to fight this. They don't want to force buybacks or anything for this fight. So NiP might have just bought themselves another life.
Yeah, this will basically make up for the buybacks, right? Like, buyback was useful in that it defended and they were able to get some kills out of it, but it still leaves you really exposed for the next 5 minutes until you're able to get Roshan and make up for that. Basically, Leshrac and Era both have a second life in the Aegis and Cheese. That still puts Alliance in a potential position here to end the game in one fell swoop. You can see how low this range Rax is in the middle lane. The melee Rax would be quick to fall as well. And then look at the top lane. It's a tier 3 tower sitting below 100 HP. If Alliance win one fight, that's 2 lanes of Rax guaranteed.
Oh, definitely, and I mean, Alliance perfectly understand that, so they're in no rush. That's the thing, is that I think Alliance are playing this about as best as they can, and Admiral Bulldog, I mean, he didn't have the best early game start, but this is why you pick him up, because the amount of eggs that he's been able to hit that have won Alliance fights, it's actually unreal. As they smoke up his 5, they don't want to just go for the battering ram attack, and I think they're actually trying to isolate and pick off Jonas Fan, who doesn't really know that this is happening, and he's just completely bought out, and Alliance aren't really sure where they're going for, as Jonas Fan just continues to blink himself back to base. He doesn't have buyback, 1800 gold. He did have the timer up, but he opts to go for the Scythe of Vice instead. And Alliance, their smoke is unsuccessful.
Yeah, Ninjas of Pyjamas just going to hide themselves inside the base for now, waiting out Alliance's next move. And that's going to be straight down middle lane. The element of surprise, not going to be there for Alliance. Instead, they just reveal themselves right away. Called out, getting laid out. They're going to try and quickly spam out the next wave that comes in. Oh, look at that play. That is a beautiful setup right there. That was the blink in, right click, and the send back from Chen, all hitting at the same time. There's just nothing NiP could have done to stop that.
Yeah, and a free range Rex for them, but that's not the one that you want to get away with, but you're happy. It's like the, well, if we have to take a Rex, we'll get this one.
Yeah.
It's the underrated Rex, that's what I call it.
The 5-man fight would have been risky as hell. Instead, they go for the guaranteed.
But is it his gyrocopter? I told you, saving the Demon Edge. Instead of going for the MKB, he wants to be able to opt for the Rapier.
Uh-oh, Mad.
He's completely isolated out. He does have the invis rune.
They have the chance to blink for it the wrong direction. Hanskin. Oh, dear. Mad went left, Hanskin went down.
They know now, though. They should know that about the Divine Rapier, and this is going to make Alliance a little bit nervous as NiP, I mean, it's definitely not boring.
No,
they definitely didn't have to go for this.
It's 42 minutes into this game, and there are only 9 kills on the side of Alliance, 11 going to NiP. But you couldn't ask for a more tense game. Despite the fact that we don't have too many kills, there's still plenty of action here. As we can see, the movement of both sides is the most critical factor. Who's able to find those slight openings to be able to stall up Alliance, or can Alliance actually manage to get a full fight inside of NiP's base, win it, and potentially end the game from there. But with this Divine Rapier pickup, it may be a lot more simpler for Alliance. If they just get a pick-off on Gyrocopter, that pretty much ends the game as well.
I don't know if it'll end the game. You have to get it on the Shadow Fiend is the thing, but then you're playing hot potato at that point.
Yeah.
Because if the Shadow Fiend goes down, then NiP once again wields the Rapier, and middle lane,
Yep,
that
sure
is
enough.
the choice. He might actually go down for this.
Easy Hex, they throw pretty much all the abilities that they have to be able to blow him up. They don't want to be caught trying to struggle to finish off a support while the rest of Alliance come in. So they quickly burst him down, now centered up with a 4 versus 5 facing up against a Divine Rapier, Aegis, and Cheese. It's unlikely Alliance are going to try and fight, at least until when it comes to an uphill push. Now, we'll see whether or not NiP want to take that option. Seems like they absolutely do. NiP, for so long, we're hoping to be able to stall out the game, but it seems like they're the ones who are now going to try and put pressure on ending this game. Or maybe not. NiP are actually now backing themselves away, thinking twice about it.
Man, earlier when you said this game is tense, like I know this kill score is only 12-9, but this is one of the most fun games in Dota to watch, where they're just kind of like picking and clawing for little strategic maneuvers, and I mean this Rapier pickup just completely turns things on its head. As NiP, I mean, they don't push with the Aegis, and they're not going to be able to, as I think it fades in like the next minute, so they're going to have to back out, and there's going to be a time period where Era is incredibly vulnerable, as there is a fully completed Aghanim Scepter on that Disruptor.
So pretty much they're looking for hiding inside the base until Alliance push in, and then maybe they poke their head out for Roshan. Right, like they can't really afford to leave Era alone at any point in time, and I'm not even sure if they want to go for a full 5-man fight outside of the base, because if you lose that Gyrocopter and then he tries to go for some sort of buyback play, he's just going to be too far away to be an impact in the fight and collect that that Divine Rapier again.
And I didn't actually know how good that Glimmer Cape was, but it actually just owns that Leshrac. So really good pickup by Mad. It is a natural pickup for the Disruptor, but I was just thinking to myself, like, how much does that Glimmer Cape actually do? And I think that's also what kind of forced Era's hand in going for the Divine Rapier, because he could see his team just wasn't doing enough damage. The downside for him, though, is that Alliance have a lot of counters to this. They've got Loda, who's got the Decrepify, you've got Admiral Bulldog, whose egg doesn't really care how much damage you deal.
Alliance now going to go for the smoke up. We do have a couple heroes of Ninjas of Gems outside of the base. Most notably, Era's going to be the first target here. Potentially, they're going to go for the pick-off. Where is it? No glimpse just yet. Now they're turning around Hex, and Lip is going to force the fight here with a BKB. Double impale being laid out on the side. Era is winning it, but Lip is the one who's going in deep for Mad. The Supernova is going to be able to explode on him. It looks like NiP are just trading this one. 1-for-1, Sonic Wave going out, doing a huge amount of damage. In fact, Yoda's going to try and force this one on the Pycat. He's already low, but they have the Ghost Scepter to be able to help keep him alive. Admiral Bulldog is instead the target. Era is coming in. He's already popped his flag cannon shots. He's got sword left. Pycat making the TP on Hodgkin. He missed the Earth Spike, and unfortunately that means our critical carry of Alliance, the SF, manages to get away with the skin intact.
If Shadow Fiend had gone down there, I think NiP would have just forced it, because SF, if he does go for the buyback, his souls are halved, and I think that would have been a pretty good opening for NiP, because they understand that the egg from Admiral Bulldog, something they've struggled so much with, would have been down as well, and now the game kind of just resets again, as they still manage to hold on to the Divine Rapier, but you're seeing the item choice by Loda pay off even more. Like that Rod of Atos, when you've only got 5-second BKB charges, and you have to constantly kite a Divine Rapier Gyrocopter, it's actually quite easy.
Yeah, and a really good save by him earlier with the Decrepify to be able to protect Pycat as well from the right clicks of the Queen of Pain, which are quite sizable at this point in time. He's almost hitting for 200 damage a hit with that Scythe of Ice pickup. Now Matt is hoping to be able to force something out of Jonas and Fun, and sure enough, he does so successfully. There goes the BKB. A Scythe of Ice now being picked up by our Phoenix. So finally, we've got some hard initiation for Alliance outside of that glimpse.
I don't even know how Bulldog gets his farm. Like, he just always has items at all times. It's Phoenix. It's not a flash farming hero, but he still manages to pick up a Hex, a Shivas, He just manages to get items out of nowhere, and his eggs this game have been so pitch perfect. The thing about his eggs is that he's firing them off in a position where NiP can't fight back. Like, he's doing it in conjunction with the Shadow Fiend, popping his ultimate at the same time, and so NiP have been struggling so far to take out that Phoenix, as he only has 1 death this game.
Yeah, and he hasn't actually picked up more than 1 kill too, so that just goes to show how well he is able to farm up in this game, not actually relying on kill bounty a whole lot. Now, Era is getting to a point where he can start considering picking up another item and still have the buyback available to him. What's the play here? I almost feel like Boots of Travel is a necessity if they're going to be fighting outside of the base at all, just so we can buy back and be there again. And
Satanic? I think that's the item.
Okay. Oh yeah, the big tank up item.
Yeah, you need some way to lifesteal. Like, there's no way with the Rapier that you just want to chance it on a 5-second BKB at this point. And the Aegis is going to pop up as well soon.
Got Jonas and Fawn quickly trying to push down this bottom lane as quick as possible. Lions are moving to intercept. Jonas is quick to back himself away. NiP are playing a very good strategic game at this point. You can see them trying to keep all the lanes pushed for as long as possible and making sure that this game stretches out later and later, where the very ballsy pickup of the Divine Rapier like 10 minutes ago put NiP on a certain edge, but if the game goes later and later, it means that Divine Rapier pickup is not going to be as critical.
And NiP know their position with this ward. They do see Loda, and I don't know if Alliance anticipates this as...
Yeah, there goes the Hex. Loda's going to be the first target once again. The Glimmer Cape goes out. Supernova immediately laid into play, but this time they're going to try and finish it. Never mind. They actually go for the kill on Loda. Aaron tries to back away. Supernova gets hit. Lip still has that cheese. He's going to fight up against Dusk and Pycat. Now finishing off Admiral Bulldog as well. That is a clean wipe. And only 2 buybacks available for Alliance.
And NiP forcing the buyback out of Pycat, but it's an inefficient one as Shadow Fiend spawned with half the souls. He's only got 18, immediately heading to that top lane, and NiP, they want to force any more buybacks as they can. Does the Phoenix have one? No, none on the Disruptor or the Chen either, as they're just headed straight for this. And even if they don't get it, the Roshan is about to spawn at the same time, and they've got vision of that area, and NiP might be the first one to take out a melee Rax.
It's looking like it, man. They've already decided to go for the bottom lane instead, as that tier 3 tower is a little bit lower. Plus, the Pugna already set up with his Nether Ward towards the north side, means that they don't have to worry about that anymore. A glyph being used, 15 seconds till the Disruptor, 20 until the Phoenix. Looks like that melee Rax is going to be falling here without much of a contest. Alliance just give that one up. 1 lane of Rax down to the favor of NiP, and they should be able to make a clean retreat here. Limp gets slowed down a little bit by that Rod of Atos, but no pursuance by Alliance.
And I think NiP's move now is just go for the next Roshan. Like, make sure that you can keep that Rapier intact for as long as possible. Like, if you lose it at this point in the game, you probably wouldn't just straight up lose. But securing this Aegis means that you at least have another Rax to play with. So NiP, I'd imagine, yep, they know it exists. And the Chen creep is in there, though.
Alliance. Ooh, Refresher now being picked up by the Queen of Pain. Double Sonic Waves, double Scythe Devices, and perhaps, maybe most critically, double BKBs.
That's a 10-second BKB again.
Yep. So this can be a big factor in the next coming up team fight, which is going to be all about Roshan. Now, Alliance are not going to try and go straight for Roshan. You can see they're trying to go for a bit more of a craftier play here, surprising NiP just like they got surprised before. The smoke initiation here. Sealkid's going to be the first one to pop inside device, but immediate Hex gets laid out by Hudskin, who's going to die. Top Pycat, it seems. No, the Glimmer King keeps alive. Era unable to finish off the Supernova, and it looks like the egg will be able to survive for a serious amount of time. Era is getting long here. He needs to be able to pop the Satanic and live, but it's stuck up for too long. Jonas Afan, there goes the Divine Rapier, and it drops again. Liv now tries to pick it up, but it's a hot potato. No one's getting able to get it. Bulldog, the next target, to be able to grab that Divine Rapier, gets away on the right-hand side. Loda will end up falling. The buyback of the Gyrocopter means nothing. Admiral Bulldog gets away with the Divine.
He grants Grand Theft Auto and just dived away, able to pick up the Divine. I don't even know how Bulldog does half the stuff that he does.
But can they actually win this? This is no buybacks whatsoever from Alliance. NiP might just be able to win this without the Divine Rapier intact. There goes the Courier as well. Jonas has already pushed in this bottom lane. They've got 80 seconds until the SF, 60 into the Pugna, even if you do have a gigantic damage swing. From the Gyrocopter losing its Divine Rapier to the Phoenix picking it up, it may not make much of a difference as there's nobody else alive for Alliance to defend.
Yeah, and there's no buyback on either of those cores. It's all going to come down to this as Admiral Bulldog with that Divine Rapier. He's going to have to do something as you can't just give up Mega Creeps right now. Like, yes, you have a Divine Rapier, but it's not going to mean much if it is on the hero like Phoenix. As Jonas Fan is getting quite low, he gets hexed up. The right clicks from Bulldog aren't going to be able to do it.
Much. Bulldog just eliminates him. Now Aaron's going to be able to take out the supports nice and quick. Hanskin barely gets himself away. It's Mad and Bulldog fighting for their last set of racks here. Jonas Fan quick with a buyback and TB in. They're going to finish off the top lane racks. That just leaves the melee in middle, and that's going to fall too. They only need a couple of right clicks to get it. In fact, the Creeps almost finished up. 15 HP, and NiP are now on the retreat with one building left. A slice of HP until Mega Creeps, but they choose not to go for it.
Oh, and I think they 100% thought that the Creep was going to deal with it, but Mad, I mean, if you're at this point doing anything, that clutch right click was able to save it. And so the game continues as NiP, I mean, that was a little bit of a mistake as I think there's still a Rapier on the Bulldog, and they are going for the Roshan right now, but you would have really liked to have Mega Creeps at this point, and Alliance, by the skin of their teeth, managed to hold on.
You can understand a bit of thought process here with NiP giving up, like, essentially they thought the Creeps were going to take it, and they want to take Roshan as quickly as possible because they know if Mega Creeps are there, Alliance are going to go for a last ditch, and they're still going to anyway. A last ditch 5-man push through middle, and they have to get everything to their advantage they possibly can to win this last team fight. They don't have a whole lot of buybacks left. The Gyrocopter, Lion, and the Queen of Pain do not have theirs, so they need that extra life. They need something to be able to defend against a 5-man push, but it seems Alliance are not going to go for that just yet. Instead, looking to be able to keep that melee racks alive. But it feels like it's just a matter of time. NiP are eventually going to be able to find that opening, whether it's through the bottom lane or top lane, pushing it, backdoor protection being removed, and one solitary hero could actually take out that building.
Yeah, but at the same time, this makes it so much easier for Alliance, because typically they don't have the lineup to deal with Mega Creeps, but this just kind of buys them time to kind of mull things over, think of a strategy, because it's pretty easy. Just defend that last building for as long as you can. If NiP overcommit for it, go for the death push right after. Right. Hope that nobody on NiP has a buyback, and right now, you don't have one on... Actually, so bad at this. There's actually only a buyback on the Leshrac and the Witch Doctor. And so things become so much easier for Alliance as the melee barrack starts to heal itself up, and I mean, NiP might just live to regret that, as that was a 10 HP building that's slowly starting to build itself up, and I think somebody's actually going to go for it as Jonas Fan is pushing up that top lane. He has a cheese at BKB, but he doesn't have a buyback.
As well. Aaron's actually going to go for the kill on Pycat, who's hexed up and disabled BKB. He walks himself away. Looks like he's good. Farther down, though, it's Loda. BKB facing up against the Leshrac, who's going to be pulled back into the sack store with the locked down. Oh no, it's going to be Jonas Fan actually going for the racks. He's going to be able to get it. There's nothing Loda can do to stop this one. And now the quick retreat. NiP have only lost the Leshrac in exchange for securing Mega Creeps. Looks like Jonas Fan and everyone else from Ninjas of Pyjamas will get away free.
They were just trying to buy time. Leshrac, if you thought about that, NiP was so smart in that. Leshrac is the only one with the buyback, so he sends himself in purposefully and says, okay, Queen of Pain, we're just going to buy time for you, and Loda at top is the target for Jonas Fan. He does have a refresher.
Oh my god, he might just be able to get him with the double sonic waves and the scream to get it. Jonas finds another pickoff. This guy's been playing out of his mind in this first game between Alliance and NiP, and he showcased just one more sweet maneuver as we reach the 55-minute mark.
Yeah, and NiP with Mega Creeps, Alliance, they still have the Divine Rapier on the Bulldog. It's not the ideal hero, but it is a Divine Rapier nonetheless. Like, Bulldog before was only an egg machine, but now he does deal a lot of damage, and Alliance, they're just going to have to push out all the waves as they can and go for one last-ditch effort, and they can definitely do it still. Like, they have enough damage on their heroes. They pretty much
can't afford to give up that Divine Rapier, though. Mad is already eliminated. Can they actually control Bulldog long enough to be able to get to him? BKB activated. He's going to try and turn this one, going for some right clicks. And Sue slides away. He realizes he's in a really peck of trouble, and sure enough, the GG well played. Alliance know there is no recovery from this one, with the Mega creeps already on the side of NiP, and the Divine Rapier to fall. It finally returns to the hands of Ninjas and Pyjamas, as does game number 1.
Alright, before we throw it off to the analysts, I just hope they talk about JoinDOTA Fun. Like, I've seen him play good games, but all the little subtle things that he did, cutting the creep waves constantly, just making things difficult for Alliance time and time again. What a game by NiP.